Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. We need to make some more Peekaboo Elmo activity pages, so come and watch with me as I see how long it takes me to make 8 copies of my Peekaboo Elmo activity page that I'm selling at craft shows. Okay, so I've never actually done this like start to finish, making multiple copies at once and timed myself. I always kind of take breaks. Usually my kids are around, so I get distracted. In this video, I'm doing no distractions, start to finish. I'm starting with cutting all of the pieces on my Cricut, and I am cutting enough to make at least 8 copies. Now, the way that the Cricut works, I don't want to waste any of my felt, so you'll see here I have a bunch of extra copies of the Elmo mouth and the eyes. That's just because I'm going to save those for later so that next time I make it, it takes me less time, but I'm getting it all kind of started start to end. And normally I cut out the Elmo nose by hand. You can see me there on the Cricut getting it ready to cut on the Cricut. I'm just going to cut out a bunch of copies. I'm only using 8 today, but I'll save the rest for later. And I am cutting out a bunch of the Elmo arms by hand here. Took me the longest time. I've sped it up super quick. And the reason I'm doing that is because that red felt there is super thick. It's 3 millimeters thick, so it's going to save me time later. Here I'm just wrapping out, I'm wrapping around some fabric around my 8x8 sheets of felt, clipping them in place, and then I'm going to start sewing. I love using this little tray to put all the pieces because otherwise I end up losing the pieces or knocking them off the table. You can see in the corner I have that big white tray with all of my cutout pieces, and I'm just taking from there and getting everything sewn on there, one page at a time. And here I ran out of thread on my bottom thread, so I had to rethread it and get going again. And you'll see here in a second what I was talking about earlier when I said that cutting out the Elmo arms by hand using super thick felt saves me time later because otherwise the felt is just too thin and floppy if I'm cutting it on the Cricut. So I'd have to sew 2 copies of that felt together to make those arms nice and stiff and structured. And so I do have one set that I cut on the Cricut and sewed, and I used that set to be the outline for all the other arms that I cut out by hand. So you can see me here, I'm just poking holes through and using brad pins to attach the arms. And if you want to see how I'm making this in regular speed, I do have a video on how to make the Peekaboo Elmo activity page on my YouTube, so you can go check that out. But basically I'm just using glue to glue on the face, and then I am using brad pins to attach the arms to the page so they can rotate. As I'm finishing up here, I'm going to put away all of the extra pieces. That little basket there is where I keep extra pieces for next time to save me time for later. And then again, I'm using my 3 millimeter thick felt to cut out the binding pieces, and I'm just sewing them in between the front and back pages of the activity page so that I can hole punch them later, and that is what I use to connect all of the pages together to form a whole book. So this process is really fun and really quick. And then the only other thing I need to do after this is I get out my heavy duty hole punch and I hole punch 2 holes in each of the pages. And here are the finished Elmo activity pages. So the big finale, how long did that take me? I'm actually surprised how quickly it went by. It only took me just under 2 hours, start to finish, to make those 8 copies of that Elmo activity. Now, that does not include the time that it took for me to originally design this activity page, but it does include everything else. It also does not include the time, though, that I am at the craft show selling it. So I'm not counting that time. So just so you know, just to make the page itself took me 2 hours to make 8 copies. Now I sell this Elmo activity page for $9 at my craft shows, and the cost of the materials to make this is about $3. Included in that cost of materials is everything you see here. Plus, I add on an additional 50 cents or so to account for replacing the Cricut mats, since I did use the Cricut mats to cut this. But I'm not including the cost of my sewing machine, the cost of the Cricut itself, or the cost of the electricity. So it cost me $3 to make this page. I sell it for $9. So if I made 8 pages, that's $48 profit that I get. It took me 2 hours, so it's about $24 an hour. But again, keep in mind that does not include the time or the money that it takes for me to go to the craft show. It does not include the time and the money that it takes for me to advertise, to have a website. So there's lots of costs there that I'm not incorporating. So I just wanted to mention that. I don't want to give you inaccurate numbers, but I just wanted to film this to show you guys the cost purely of the materials and then the time that it takes me to produce the page. I hope that helps you out. If you are trying to make these and sell these, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. Please come along with me in this journey of trying to figure out how to mass make these and sell these at craft shows. If you are new to craft shows or you're a stay-at-home mom like me and you're looking for excuse me, some side income, let me be your guinea pig. I am happy to help and share my templates. You guys don't have to design the templates yourself. You can use my templates if you want to. Come along and we'll see how we do. Okay, thanks so much, you guys. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.